Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. We are here to talk about the upcoming event between the Montreal Shark Tank versus the Pork Roll Protocol. It's a rivalry between some Canadians and some Americans, and we're going to see who is the best team overall. It's a little fun little contest between two locals that end up playing against each other regularly when they cross the border. But joining me with me today is our two previous the current WTC champions looking to defend their title in October. That's pretty exciting. I'm with Caller
Hey guys.
and I'm with Torbjorn. How are you guys doing? You're doing good?
Yeah,
Hello,
everything's good.
everyone. Welcome, welcome. I hope you all have fun.
All right, perfect. And so both of you guys are actually going to be at an event on Saturday. So Caller, why don't you give a brief little intro about that?
So basically, this is the my version of Second Wind, I would say. We stole the idea of hosting it in a brewery. So we have 32 players signed up. We do have some drops. So if you're in Europe and you want to go, those drops have very kindly donated their tickets. So if you want to come and play, you can do that for free. It includes free lunch both days in this brewery and a host of awesome prizes that I just now have lined up on the table next to me. So I'm the
Very,
TO. Torbjörn is playing in the event. Hopefully he'll do good.
yeah, Torbjorn.
My practice games have not gone well. I'm currently like 1 and 12 or something.
Oh.
Oof.
Oh man, but that's good though. You've
It's
learned a lot of
going bad.
lessons.
Yeah. Roll
Okay.
dice is what I'm learning.
That's good. That's good. All right, so yeah, we're going to review the rosters. We'll start with the Montreal Shark Tank, but before I do that, I'm just going to show that I built this little cool little trophy that the players are going to be playing for. I'm hoping they put it in their store or maybe they get a picture with it afterwards. But I'm going to try to show the camera here if we can. It's the my blurry background feature on my stream is backfiring against me a little
Oh,
bit,
that's awesome.
but
That's really
it's
cool.
what it is. So I'm gonna hold it closer to me now, maybe at this point. But basically, it just says rivals panel champions. It's got the original Wakandans on it, all gold with a black base here. Pretty cool. Mike, the captain of the Pork Roll Protocol, was saying that even if they got a piece of paper that just said "You are the winners," they would have been satisfied. So hopefully this
Nice.
this amps up the level of competition a little more. I want to see hunger in these players here. We're playing on clocks too to try to light the fire under them, intensify the matchups,
Dang.
and it's going to be some serious business. So anyway,
Very cool.
we just revealed the rosters. They're going to have about 6 days to plan out how they're going to do the matchups here. They're going to be playing 3 rounds, so it's best of three. So a team could end up winning 2 rounds and then playing the third round as a as just I don't know, like rub salt in the wound situation,
Yeah.
and get a little bit of redemption if you're on the other side of it. So
Yeah.
it'll be a lot of fun. Both teams will get a lot of reps in with WTC restricted style rosters. So I think it's going to just benefit everyone. It's really exciting. So
Cool.
all right, we're gonna pop in here. I guess we're just gonna go down the rank here, and we're gonna see what weaknesses and strengths that each roster might have here. So let's pop up Simon. Simon's been playing X-Men for a long time. He has a blog post about it on. He has a blog that he posts about. So we know he's going to be pretty strong here. What are Caller? Do you have any thoughts on this roster? Is there anything like out of place at all? Looks. I mean, first look,
I
I
mean,
see Iceman and
yeah. So I mean, the this looks like a I would say most of this roster looks fairly much like how I would consider it. It's a lot of like old school X-Men style. I know Nate, aka Ghost here, is playing a more fighty style X-Men, but I assume that's due to some of the picks not being available in a team format. Maybe that's the reason he's gone more traditional. But I like most of this. I think Cyclops is a very underrated character who He needs to roll slightly good on his dice, but once he does, he has a lot of impact. His field leader ability is very powerful. It's a range 4, middle of the round move, which is out of activation, which is very strong, I feel. I think the Doctor Voodoo is that Voodoo used to be played so much in X-Men.
That's
You
right.
gave him the thing he needed the most in action economy, and I think he still probably slaps here. He's also the only non-affiliated model that I can see, so I mean he's not going to have any problems there.
Yeah.
His crises selection, I think looking at the team tactics, that all just makes sense. It's the standard really good stuff for X-Men. Of note is he took Children of the Atom, which is not the most common pick, but I think you have a few of those sort of tech card slots that you can take a really good specific card to counter specific things. His crisis selection seems to be very much focused on the standard sort of play, race the game to the finish line kind of thing that X-Men has played historically and are very good at, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I agree. Torbjorn, do you have any other thoughts on Vodka's list here?
So do I get to go in the totally different direction and
I,
then ask why is
I,
Cyclops there? He's a 39% win rate leader. He has nothing to do in Top
Right.
Cut. He
So
is worthless.
I'll counter that with he's not there as a leader. He's there as an affiliated model that is not bad.
And there are better 4 threats in faction that you can play
I
that no one else plays.
I'm
Especially when we think about X-Men, right?
yeah. So which
When
one
we
do you
think
think?
about X-Men, we think about what are the hard matchups for X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
It's webs, right?
Yeah,
Does he help in the webs matchup?
I think he does in a way.
I
I'm
remember
gonna
Torbjorn.
say
I remember
hard
Torbjorn
no on that.
slapping a Cyclops team a couple of seasons ago with the webs. So, uh,
Like that's
I'm not
not
I'm
his
not I
field.
don't I'm not very convinced of Cyclops' eminence as a leader. I think it's too dice dependent. I think
Yeah.
that he as a
Uh,
character is a lot better than people give him credit for, and I feel like he has a sort of I think like Cyclops could be a strong character on things like Scoundrel, where he can do um, a lot of sort of incidental displacement from a long range, which he can probably do from from a fairly central location, maybe the middle Scoundrel. He can also move people back into range of the different Scoundrels if they're pushed off with his range 4 field dealer. He has his spender is pretty bad, but his builder and hit and run and field leader, I feel, are good enough reasons to include him. I don't think you play him all the time. I think there's place for some good, like for some very specific tech choices, and I believe Cyclops is a good tech choice, even if not a main choice.
one
so can we
thing
then look at the characters that aren't in here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because Magic
what's
is not in
missing?
here.
Magic would with that Mystic Pierce builder would be able to cut through the web's defenses. One thing that is something that I think is interesting is there's a new school, old school element here, right? Doctor Voodoo, of course, is has been played. He was played like a year, whatever, year and a half ago in X Men very commonly when he before his nerf. But now you've got Xavier's Dream, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually like I can see a situation, a play pattern where Voodoo takes your piece and you try to go into him, and then you just get completely walled off with
Yeah.
Xavier's Dream and holding that extract, taking that lead, and so I'm interested to see that synergy because we haven't I haven't seen too much. I haven't seen that at all, and so
So
we'll see.
I think to respond to the Magic criticism, I agree. I think Magic is a better character than people give her credit for, especially in X Men. She's actually a fairly decently like she has a pretty strong offense for a 3 threat. But I think
And she
at this
is
point,
important in the bad matchups for
yes. But
X-Men, I think.
would you then? I mean, I think you take Voodoo over her, if you know what I mean. And I think you have
But
other
that's one
characters.
threat difference. And when I
Yeah.
vision now X-Men, I
hmm
envision them as like play as many 3 threats as possible, abuse Dream, win.
I I'm not sure that's entirely correct. I think they have a slew of pretty good 4 threats. I think Nightcrawler, Logan, and well, Nightcrawler and Logan are really good 4 threats
Yeah,
that you should try
they're
to fit.
they're
And
fine, right? But like
uh,
Domino, X23, they are some of the premier 3 threats in the
oh,
game, right?
I agree, but they're all still there.
Yeah.
I don't think Magic is a premier 3 threat. I think she's a decent 3 threat.
Yeah. She's fine.
Okay, so we're
And
gonna.
then
Oh, go ahead. What else? Do you have anything
do
else?
I also get to just, if you are gonna bring Cable, then like bringing Cat and Mouse just to
Yeah,
have that as an out, that's one card
I
for
agree.
a card
Completely
slot.
agree there.
That's fine, right? If you're gonna
Yeah, yeah.
bring Cable, you might as well bring that and have the option to play X-Force.
I agree. I agree with that. I can't argue that logic
Yeah,
at all.
but based on what he's got here, he'd only be able to play him low threat with only 3 X-Force affiliated models. So it would be that's 11 threat base on X-Force. So hold on, four. Do you have two? You could go to 19, I guess, with 2 more 4s. But that's yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. So let's move on to the next roster here.
Yep.
And we've got Nick Menard. So I thought this one was pretty interesting. This is a Red Skull Master of the World. He's been pretty popular. However,
Mhm.
there's a big body here missing. There's no Thanos in this team. He's going with a wider Master of the World. Was there anything that stuck out to you, caller, on the list here?
Yes, I have opinions.
Yes.
All right, so I think it is. I know why, so to speak, further down the line, but
Of
I
course.
I don't understand why there's no. Why is there no Zemo one in this list?
Right. Yes, the Zemo one, of course, was brought
Like,
by another person, and so that's
yeah.
the limitation. But
So
yes, go
I
ahead.
I am very much I play a lot of Red Skull, as Torbjorn can attest, and I believe that there are two ways to build a list, or you can combine them into one, and one of them is Thanos style. And I don't think you need to play Thanos style, but I think you need to have a much wider style list with a lot of 3 threats and actually quite a lot of 2 threats as well. And I have felt that um, Cabal trying to play sort of the 5 wide standard game um, without some skewing is a bit rough. I feel like, for example, Ultron, which is a very strong character in itself, doesn't actually gain that much from the leadership. He basically just needs to either gain a lot of extra power to be able to use his superpowers and his spender, or he needs action economy. And I feel that the Red Skull leadership does not provide either of those, which makes it rough to play him. Um, I love Crossbones Merciless Merc. He's a very strong character, I feel, and he's really good in Red Skull. If you play the wider style, I also like the Mordo pick. He's also good for a wider style list, and Strucker's good in combination with Mordo because Strucker will shake off the damage from the extra dice, and he can count skulls with extra dice, which is like a cool combo. You know who else would have liked Baron Mordo?
Who
Zemo
was
1.
that? Nebula Zemo one. Okay, all right.
Zemo 1 and Nebula. Yeah. I do like Loki. Loki with Red Skull is budget Corvus. I'm not sure about the space gem. I feel taking gems on Loki means he's way more susceptible to getting killed because his defensive stats do not increase at all. It gives him a bit more control, but it also makes him more of a prime target. I do like the OG Sabretooth. I think he's cool with Red Skull, being able to get the extra skull crits even when he's doing reactive attacks. I feel he's underplayed. Not sure about the new Zemo. I've only played him in Hydra, so I can't really talk about his play style in Red Skull. But he is a. I feel like he also gets a bit more flack than he deserves. I feel like his biggest problem is that his name is like Helmut Zemo.
Of
That's
course.
that's like he would be played quite a lot more if he wasn't named Helmut Zemo. And of course, we have Mystique, which is just a no-brainer, I feel.
Yeah. Torbjorn, do you have any thoughts to add to what Color's
So
breakdown?
one thing to think about here, at a VTC event, there are only so many safe grabs you can grab as a team, right? Someone's gonna have Bill, someone's gonna have Hela. Like, Loki with a space gem is a safe grab. And
Yes.
that's
Yep.
sometimes you just have to go for that. Like, I'd rather have Loki with a space gem than like Ulik, for example.
You can also play I'm a Baron and Eyes on the Prize if you have OG
Yeah.
Simo. But this is not an
That's
option
a
in this list.
lot.
But
That's a lot,
that's one.
but yeah.
It is. I've actually started not having as many safe grabs in my lists, but
Yeah.
yes, I agree.
Are there
So, like,
any outstanding mission crises callouts
Nah.
here? They look pretty standard.
I mean, Infinity Formula is really strong with Red Skull in general. I feel because the extra power is something that he can use. Like it just turns on all of his superpowers instantly. I also believe there's other characters who gain quite a lot from that. I am slightly concerned with like if you get a combo of something like Infinity Senators, because you do not want 10 points on the board versus the scenario focused teams. But I mean, it's okay. We have the classic sort of slowdown crises. This list is built up from different threats, I feel a bit, so that's probably why they're going Montesi formula over Legacy Virus. Otherwise, I like Legacy Virus more because even if they have a safe grab, you're probably gonna go up 2-1 on extracts because you have Deception in your list. So they can only safe grab 1 of 3.
Yeah. The only other thing I see here as a callout is like Baron Mordo here, and like
Mm-hmm.
Ultron is 8 threat worth of points. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like maybe that's like the Thanos replacement in this list. So
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to the next
uh,
list here. Then it's
sorry,
oh yeah,
in
yeah.
the
What's
team
up?
tactics cards,
Yes.
I feel like if you're gonna play Cabal at a VTC event, you should have the no reroll card in your 10 because you are gonna have to be one of the
I mean, marked for that.
answers marked for that.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he
He
does.
did pick it up as his last card.
yeah.
He does have it.
And I want to say
Yes.
that is important, and I like
Yeah,
that because
I
I
agree.
Great.
think that is important against webs, and you are gonna have to be one of the web answers.
Mhm.
So
Yes. Yes. There. Yeah. So he does have some text spots here for webs. So let's see. Yeah. All right. We'll see how it goes when who he plays against. All right. So we've got Gabe here. He's playing Black Order with Thanos and Proxima as his Black Order characters, but primarily looks to be a Guardians list. And there's the Thanos, of course, that was missing from the Cabal side.
Yeah.
And so they've got two teams that are pretty high on the attrition side of the spectrum.
Yes.
They're running similar crises or crises that are of the similar type. And yeah, so Tolbjorn, we can start with you this time. Do you have any initial thoughts on the list here, the Guardians list?
like we can start with reality space game, right? That's more standard in Star-Lord lists, but I yeah, I prefer the control now that you only have one move per turn. But reality makes you stay up more. Uh, he also gets to steal Hulk and Thanos in the same roster, which is kind of like cake on cake, right? I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
fair.
in a VTC style, you have to specify which one you want and give another one to your teammate.
You're
Because,
assuming one of his other teammates wanted it.
yes, I am assuming someone wants Hulk.
Mhm.
I'm gonna fully commit to someone wants Hulk. And yeah, this is not a Black Order list, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
Mike pointed out in chat. There's no mothership in here, so this is
Like, we can just get rid of that.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
was
I think
And
surprised.
then,
Go
I think
ahead.
this is this looks like almost your standard Guardians list without any real concessions. At least I
it's
can't really find any concessions here right now.
Yeah, this
there's
looks.
no Ghost Rider in this, and
Yeah, but
the
he
other
probably could have had
Thanos
Ghost Rider.
card is in here, which is kind of weird.
So there's so there was one discrepancy on the Montreal side, so shame on them. They put 2 juggernauts across their team into the so
Oh.
this might end up becoming a
Ooh.
Ghost Rider, I'm not sure, but
Yep.
they're going to update it shortly. But anyway, the one thing that sticks out to me as like a why is the Daughter of Thanos card. I don't see this being
Yep.
played very often. My guess is there's a reason for that, and it's you're paying 4 power for a
And
single attack, and there's better
and there's no
cards.
marked for death, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Maybe we're missing
And
something though with that. So
Um,
I don't think
one of
we
the
are.
things that is interesting with the Daughter of Thanos card is that it does not specify it needs to be a 0 cost attack,
that's interesting. It's
which means
yeah.
which means you can like there is some real I think there's probably some potential here. I see Mike in the chat, or Mike, the people are sleeping on it. And I think Daughter of Thanos is probably, I mean, the fact that you can do a spender if you're very high on power is like that's half of an activation from a high power character, which is interesting, I think.
The one thing that
Uh,
I have interest in talking about real quick is the intrusions inclusion in Guardians. Like their leader is Star Lord, who like sometimes he's tanky, but that if he gets lucky, he's tanky situation.
Hmm.
What do you think about like intrusions Guardians? Is it totally reasonable if you like play a Thanos list to play that crisis?
I mean, considering he has Hulk in the list, it's not necessarily that he actually plays Thanos all the time. So there's some strong Guardians list that can do some pretty cool like displacement as well. You have both Bill and Hulk. Bill is really good on intrusions. I'm not sure. I think the fact that you probably want to keep Star-Lord almost off an intrusion point, and sort of in between, that also means he's not as big of a prime target. So I mean, I can't really fault him for playing three crises that are basically scoring 3 when you're playing an attritional list,
Yeah, that's
which might
fair.
be the most important thing here.
Torbjorn, do you have any other thoughts before we move to the next roster?
no, this one is fine, right?
Yes, yes. All right, so we have Web Warriors here. Let's see what we've got. And so we're looking at. All right, so there's the hit. There's the missing Baron Zemo,
Oh yeah,
and
we know how strong he is in webs, to be fair, but
looks like
I'm not
he's
sure in a
bringing.
team context.
Yeah, you're taking. You might be taking too much from the Cabal, but we'll see. He's of note. He's also bringing the 2 newest spiders in
Yeah.
his list, and he's opted not to bring Spider Woman or Venom, Agent Venom, and we've got Brace and Disarm as another interesting call out here. But overall, caller or Tobiorn, I should start with you since you
Yeah,
played webs.
I am the webs player,
Yes.
right? So I
What
Yeah,
get
do,
to talk
throw it,
about this.
Torbjorn.
what do you
Like,
think?
Scarlet Spider would be amazing, right? If her name was, or Gwenom would be amazing if her name wasn't Gwen Stacy, right? Like, she
I,
is just
I can agree with
meh.
that.
Like,
I don't think she's meh, but I agree with what what Torbjorn is saying.
like
Yeah.
she is not Gwen Stacy Ghost Spider, right? Like, she is not that power level. She is not one of the best characters in the game.
Well,
She
luckily
is
he has
fine.
both.
Yeah. But there are fours in this that could change certain matchups for webs. Like, for example, bringing Nick Fury so that you can double grab stuff, uh, which is very powerful in certain matchup against certain opponents. And then we're talking about the 2 threat here. He has taken Black Widow. I haven't seen Wong in any of the other lists, and Wong is generally preferred to Black Widow.
I would agree there.
Yeah,
Like,
an opening play pattern with Wong though here is I mean like that I see players play online um is that they'll R&D all of his power away round 1 and he doesn't have R&D here, so maybe there's like that connection. That's like the reasoning he took on this one. You also have Masked Menace, which is the new card that generates
Hmm.
power for the webs. on round. You typically round 2 maybe is like a good time to play it when you're about to do a bunch of attacks with webs
Yeah.
throughout the round. So maybe that's like the kind of the switch, the pivot from uh, the older or like the current style to like what we could see in the future.
What we're seeing here as well
Um,
is he's running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threes, if I'm counting correctly. So he has the option of going 6 wide at 17, which is strong. Widow is arguably a better run around on their own character than Wong is. So perhaps that is a call out. From what I can tell here, the maximum he can run is 6 wide though, because he can't. He doesn't have another. He doesn't have a sixth three threat character or another 2 threat characters to go 7 wide at higher levels, which is some of the more standard style webs. I'm not that good with webs. I will leave most of this to Torbjorn. This is just from watching other people play, basically. It is interesting that he's taken the new Scarlet Spider. I think he's pretty cool.
yeah, it's definitely cool. It's awesome. I also, when I look at this, I see something that is heavily teched for the mirror because he's
Yeah,
playing both Aunt May's and Marked for Death. So like, he does not want to lose to another Webs player.
yeah, that's fair. That's good.
Yeah,
That
so the he also brought oh, that's interesting because now my brain is kind of making some connections here. He also brought all even extracts. So if he's in a Web Warrior matchup situation here, he doesn't go down on extracts immediately to start the game. Is there any thoughts on bringing like Torbjorn, like do you have any preference on the other fives like the spiders and cubes over maybe scrolls or paranoia here? Like what are your thoughts on his extracts?
I think cubes is a trap. Like it, the big strength of webs, right, is that you stand up stronger, stand up longer because you have rerolls and you are hard to kill. And then cubes, you take damage, which is not good. But I play spiders. Like it's not that big of a difference. Playing scrolls is fine, right?
Yeah,
If you play spiders, then you have to be willing to run Amazing Spider-Man to their side of the board. You have to be willing to dive if you lose priority, and that's like
that's
then you
fine though.
are putting the dice rolls. Some players cannot handle like leaving their fate up to dice.
It's fine though. Costs actions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it will take actions. It will take more actions probably than needed to like than you're prepared to lose to go into amazing. We all know how tanky he is.
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
like Scrolls is fine, right? Scrolls is
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely.
Seems like it. Yeah, I mean it's good. So we're gonna go to the last roster here, which is from TG Lord playing Spider Foes.
But do I
Yes.
not get to just flame him for stealing Simo and being a bad teammate and taking Simo from like
uh,
Don't
why
be
is
mean,
he taking
Torbjorn.
Simo?
it
Oh,
sounds
Don't
like
like
you.
be
It
that
sounds
why?
like you just
again.
did. Sounds like you just did that. All right. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
that's interesting. Very interesting to see if that pays off and how the Cabal team handles that. All right. So we've got the Spider Foes here. There's the duplicate Juggernaut. That one of them will
Hmm.
be fixed. We're not sure exactly which, but All right. So we are seeing one leader. We're seeing one leader.
Hmm.
They're playing the Sinister Scientist. I mean, we're seeing Rhino and Electro, Lizard. These are all staples in the list. And double twos, a Toad and a Koya here. Surprise Webhead custom upgrades are pretty locked in at this point. And then he's playing pay to flips with high scoring extracts as well, sinister traps. And yeah, so caller, what are your thoughts on what
So
we're seeing here?
so there's a crime that there's no Mysterio. I
Was
realize
it
you don't
Mysterio
want
in one of the other lists?
no, he wasn't, I
No, he
believe.
was not. He was not.
So I think Mysterio is a very unique kind of counter to Mystique and Deception, because if he's your mid grabber, the like he's getting decepted a small move and a small base over the baseline. and no one has enough power to get past his defenses round 1. So I think the exclusion of Mysterio is a bit sad. I don't think you play him on Portals or Mutant Batman, but you can play it. You can play it on Sword, or you can play it if you ever were to take your extracts with Prio, which more people should do, I believe. And I think the inclusion of double twos allows you to play more of the powerful fours that Spider-Foes have now. I think Foes just had all these new toys, and like both custom upgrades and surprise webhead are strong reasons to play Foes. And I believe like there are. So I think this is cool. I think that's pretty cool. He's taken Sandman. He hasn't listened to all
Yes.
the naysayers, which I think is cool. I want to see how things shake out. With Sandman, I also believe that there will be some Sandman at the event on Saturday. I really want to see how that works.
Have you played any games with Sandman? Have you
I have
tried him?
played games into Sandman, and I've seen
Oh,
games
okay.
played with Sandman. I'm about 4 or 5 games into or seeing them.
Yeah.
So I'm. It's very hard to say. I know there's a lot of like complaints about Sandman, and like he's not efficient enough. His kit is not synergistic enough. All these things, and there are probably some merit to that. But I also feel like the potential from having a beam that has omnidirectional push on Sites Unlimited on like anyone who takes a damage from it is pretty cool. So I feel that there's
Sure.
probably things to sort of explore with him. I also feel he's probably more mobile than people think if you use his constructs right. But we'll
That
see.
costs 3 power though.
I know. Luckily, he's in an affiliation that gives him power when he's attacked.
But you just don't attack him. You don't have to attack into
Well,
the one person that
if you
has
attack his constructs, he also gains power.
yeah. Like you don't have to attack into the one character that is exceptional healing fodder, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
yeah,
I mean,
like,
but but that's also like that is also a win. If you're not touching Sandman and his constructs, he has a lot of attacks that has pushes on them every round.
it's 4 dice attacks that have to do damage to be able to push. And I know it's
Yeah, but it's free.
great and it's free and it's like eh. But yeah, no, like there's no Green Goblin in this. Like,
I think that's fine.
if you're not, why? Like most of these have such low dice pools, so pillow fisted attacks that like the reroll from Green Goblin is important against certain matchups.
Um,
Like,
yeah, depending on how you want to play them. I think Craven
but
helps
yeah,
with the extra dice.
sure. But yeah, I really don't. If we're talking about VTC, right?
Hmm.
You should bring the 5 strongest rosters,
Oh yeah.
5 strongest leaders, 5 strongest. Is Spider Foes ever like anywhere
I,
close to that?
I think Spider-Foes. I think that's a bit of a misnomer as well, because it's also about the players playing. You need to
Yeah,
have a player be able to pilot the roster that they're bringing. So it's not all about bringing the top 5 affiliations in the game, especially since you might lose important tools in those affiliations that make them less able to work. I would say it's very important to have people who are familiar with the affiliations, uh, who's like familiar with affiliations and can play them to a good enough standard that they know all the ins and outs, and then are also being able to, like, they're given the tools to be able to use those things.
yeah. Like it's of course important that you know how to play your list, but like
Yeah, but there's like a people told me Magneto was bad, and I went 4-1 at last WTC playing just that, which
yeah,
is like that
Magneto.
that's the there's difference between having like the general population knowing quote unquote that something is bad or good, and I think that I'm stealing a quote from Huggy now, but I think that the new Spider Foes plays quite a bit like OG Wakanda, with being able, with surprise webhead and custom upgrades being added, and having quite a bit of displacement among their characters.
But why aren't you just playing Wakanda then? Like,
I don't think Wakanda is as good in a team setting, because
okay,
it needs
it
quite a
needs
bit
to
of
steal
tools.
splashes, right?
Yes, it
But
does.
yeah, like this steals Rhino from other potential lists. This steals like Toad, Okoye from other lists as well.
Yeah, but
So,
that's all like opportunity cost. We know that
yeah,
it's all opportunity cost. If they didn't have anyone who was playing lists that needed them, I think they do. But you see what I mean.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so there we go. Yeah, I think this list is pretty good for Spider Foes team. So we'll see how
Mhm.
it does. Let's go to the. That's
Wait,
it for Montreal. Oh, what's
wait.
that?
I have a few things, because the
Okay.
composition of this team is pretty interesting. So the fact that they have two players running pay to flips means that they could potentially do things
Ooh.
like putting in a double pay to flip lineup into someone, and they're forced to pick between pay to flips and pay to flips, which could be
Ah.
rough. They also have the double E shape lineup, so they could do the same with like putting Cabal and Guardians into someone, and then we have their Webs player has, like you said, also been teching for being able to face different kind of threats. So I believe that there's some cool things that they can do in the pairing process that allows them to put perhaps put the Pork Roll Protocols guys in a tough spot in regards to choices.
That's very interesting. I have not been a part of a five-man team before, so these are the types of thoughts that are new to me. I like it a lot. A very, very good insight. Okay. All right, so let's go into the pork roll protocol. All right, this is the USA team. Just looking at their overall
Boo,
teams
boo,
comp, they've got
boo.
three of the same, 3 out of 5 of the same affiliations. So we're
Yep.
like maybe this is a good, interesting gauge as to what uh, gonna gonna perform well overall in team events. We're gonna go right
Hmm.
into Mike's team. So both leaders, interesting, both captains of their teams are
Yeah.
both running X-Men here. So let's see what Mike is doing differently than Vodka. He's got Ultron is a big piece here. Bishop Psylocke, so some different 4 threats, and he's bringing Honey Badger X-23 combo. So no Cable, he's got Ultron instead, and we're seeing looks like nothing unusual on the cards, and he's playing 3 pay-to-flips, but he's playing a
Hmm.
couple of lower scoring missions. He's looking to it's a beat 'em up X-Men list is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, this is the style of X-Men list that was popularized by Nate most recently, I believe. In that it sort of tries to leverage Ultron in Storm leadership for the action economy, which makes him a real scary piece. You can combine that into playing lists at 15 if you are forced into like the rough matchups at 15 versus like Cabal or similar. You can play things like Ultron, Storm, X-23, and Domino, which is a really sorry, X-23 and in this case Nightcrawler or Psylocke, which is a strong team that has access to Age, Savior's Dream, and Exceptional Healing, which can slow down the attrition on your side while having quite a lot of attrition into the opposing team and action economy and like high attacks and stuff. I like this list. Um, Bishop is an interesting inclusion. It's a good way to get a size 4 throw into it. I think Bishop is
I can hear
uh,
Tobiern laughing at Bishop, I think.
so
I laugh at the interesting, like it's an in choice. It's a very
so the,
great idea.
I think Bishop is better than people think.
Give
I
him
believe
credit
his
for.
yes, I
He's
believe
also incredibly dependent on Savior's Dream to get
absolutely
him out
he
of
is.
tough spots because, like, if the opponent just leaves him on one, gives him power, and then he's
Yes.
dazed in the power phase. He doesn't get to activate. He come back on the other side. He's on 4 health, and like he is
Yeah,
just
that's
such a heavyweight.
that's
And
but that's mostly the feels bad, I will
yeah,
say.
and I can't have Savior Stream be locked to one character that way, right? It is
Well, I
needed
believe I
to
believe you do
be
play bishop
doable everywhere.
for specific matchups. I'm 100% assuming that this is Mike's sort of like tech choice. Because the
Okay.
other characters are so strong anyway. It's the same thing as with Cyclops in Vodka's
Yeah.
X-Men list. You have so many, like you have some good characters. A lot of your lists are set anyway, and you have a bunch of spare, well, not a bunch, but you have 1 or 2 spare extra slots, which is basically just your tech choices. And I can see Bishop as being like a tech choice there,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I've been struggling with making Ultron work because, like, when he is there, his grunts have to be there for him to jump on, right? That's the big synergy in this. But then his grunts aren't placed in positions where you kill them and deal damage and give power to Ultron to then do Ultron's whole kit, right? And it costs
Uh,
1 power to jump, so like he gets very starved on power in X-Men, and I've struggled a lot with that, and I I don't think he's good enough. Is my takeaway after I've tried.
I I like him in X-Men, but
Yeah,
I am a known dice relier, so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
okay as long as he gets 2 attacked, it's all fine.
yeah. But yeah, it's just it is rough. But yeah, it makes a team that is totally unkillable and that has strength,
Yeah,
especially in the matchup process, right? Because if
yes,
we look
definitely.
at it, like Cabal is not gonna want to try to kill Ultron and
No,
X-23 and Savior's Dream and like all of that.
he
That's
he
just
is
gonna
the
be
one.
too
He is the
much meat.
one guy who's bringing Mystique though, which is rough if you
Mm,
manage to
Yeah,
get it in the
yeah.
right spot.
yeah.
Okay,
So
let's see what the next list has then. The next list, we've got another spider foe here.
Hmm.
Web warrior. All right, so I'm gonna quickly look through this. We've got Spider Woman and Agent Venom missing from the other list. We've got
Yeah.
some some splashes here of Deadpool, Blob, and Medusa. And
yeah.
we're seeing Aunt May's wheat cakes, but no marked for death. Looks like standard secures and extracts for the list. So, Torbjorn, what are your thoughts on this Web Warrior team?
Well, he hasn't stolen Simo from his Cabal player, so you know that's plus 1 point. And then like Blob is right tech, right? He can't be pushed, he can't be thrown. That is important in certain matchup. Medusa can't be rerolled against, which I don't know where Lucas. Where do you think he got that idea from?
The
To
Medusa, yeah. So actually, on my stream recently, Deaton punked Sooner with a Medusa splash, and I tried to do the same thing last night. It didn't go my way, but it's a interesting interesting piece against teams that like to re-roll dice. So
yeah,
I listened
um,
to the episode of the GameStar Guardians where John was talking about Deadpool, for example, in webs, and I kind of like the idea that having the unlocked skull for all the reroll shenanigans is a really cool. That's like a really cool and nice thing to have. And
yeah,
I believe that
and like
Deadpool's Smirk with a Mouth is an almost control-esque ability, which I really dig. So yeah, that's very cool.
he's also one of the people that can do attack and get up to the midline, which is
Yeah,
good, right?
yeah, very good. I agree.
And like the other reroll characters that also like this and are probably better, like Simo and Black Panther, are stolen by your team. So like
Yeah,
he's
fantastic in the mirror.
the
He writes
next
here as well.
best,
Yeah, well, they write here as well. Yeah,
next
yeah.
best option.
I like that. I think it also gives this sort of like a webs team that isn't afraid to do a bit more of attrition, which I think is cool.
But yeah,
The one thing that I noticed here was that he also has disarm. So both of the Webs
Mm-hmm.
players are playing disarm in their lists,
Yeah.
which is
yeah,
interesting
there's
pivot
like
from R&D.
yeah,
Yep.
like
I
R&D
think
plays
disarm
are
is
pretty
underplayed.
set
So.
plays. They are easy for the opponents to see, right, and know what to do about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Any other thoughts before we move on to the
no,
Wakanda list?
I like this better. Can we go
No,
that route
no,
now?
no exceptional healing on Deadpool. Is there anything, any issues with that? There's no.
I think Webb's cards are so tight. I understand that it's not there. He talks about this on the Gamester Guardians episode as well. That it's really hard to fit that card in your 5 anyway.
Yeah, like
So
you're gonna almost always play all webbed up spider tracker fallback, right? And then
yeah,
brace, disarm, like they're very good cards. Are
yeah,
you gonna play
I
like
think you're gonna. I think we're gonna see with all these attacks. Deadpool gets the rapid fire. Medusa has the frenzy. We might see the the masked menace.
yeah. It's gonna
Can get a
generate so
lot of
much power.
power for all these characters. It's very
Yeah, absolutely.
interesting. Okay, all right. Let's check out this Wakanda list. I saw in the chat that they were the Porkroll guys were hyping this one up. Let's see how this goes.
Oh my God,
All
Mike.
right, all
Mike, I love
right.
you, but you took all of the picks.
So we're seeing ASM splashed here. So this is like the bare bones Wakanda with
Yeah,
ASM, Beta Ray Bill, Hulk, Rhino, Ulik, and Sam. All right, so he's got
yeah,
a lot of hot picks here, all jammed into one list.
yeah.
well, I
R&D.
wouldn't want to have him as a teammate, right?
No, 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 no. They all gave it to him. It's all good.
He
I mean,
took
this is
Bill Rhino.
I
Like
I'm and Hulk.
an
I
amazing Spider-Man from
I
their webs
I mean,
player.
this is a great list. He better win with it.
The
That's
Like
pressure
all
is
I'll say.
on.
Yeah.
like what is the like it's Ulick, right? You wouldn't bring Ulick normally in this
Yeah,
list,
he's
right?
he's
You'd
he's been in
bring
there. He gets
Miles,
pretty
right?
he
Yeah,
gets
something
pretty
like
Miles
stupid with it.
you'd bring
that.
instead of Ulick, right?
Yeah.
That's his one compromise on this list. No.
I mean,
Spirit of Wakanda's here. He's obviously doing the spirit play very consistently, I would imagine. I mean, these cards are kind of locked. You're playing Brace, R&D, Spirit, Wakanda, and then you've got Usurp if you throw in, if Killmonger is played, and this is a Robbery if you play Rhino, and that's pretty
yeah.
much what you're playing in most
Ma-
cases.
Mike is writing here that there was very little debate. They told Wakanda and Webbs to take whatever they want. So yeah, I mean, if your team
Okay,
is
so
spirit, you're-
some team thing here then, like yes, people offer you everything if you want it, right? Like
yeah.
yes, say no. Like
I think
say no.
I
It
think
is best that way.
I can see since they're not playing, they don't have a Guardians player. They do not have
Yeah,
they do not have a Spider-Foes player.
sure.
I could see the case for having Bill and Rhino because they're so effective with Spirits of Wakanda. I'm
But
just
then
not sure
Hulk
you ever play Hulk, so maybe you just if someone else needs
and
Hulk, you give it to them.
Sam is like one of the
Yeah,
best
but
three, right? Like,
Sam is fine to hand out. Sam is
yeah.
only a very specific splash in certain affiliations, I would say.
Okay.
Okay. All right
Then
then. What else? Yes.
cards recalibration matrix. How do we feel about that in?
It's a Hulk card, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that seems like a 10 spot that could be something more tooled for
Are you thinking about
other
Marks for Death
things.
again?
Yep, definitely. Because
Yeah.
I'm thinking Wakanda is gonna have to take the spider's bullet, right? I'm thinking that is
Not sure, man.
probably the matchup that's gonna have to happen.
Should every list be running Marked for Death, Torbjorn?
I think 2 or 3 lists out of your 5 should run it, right?
I mean, in a team event, I think 2 or 3 is probably pretty good. I think there are specific things like if you're playing Cabal or you're playing one of the attrition affiliations, I believe you should be bringing Marked for Death just on the off chance that you are your your teams throw into webs, so to speak.
So at the last VTC, I played webs. We played me first most matchups. Like I got guardians, and then something I didn't care about every
Yeah,
game, right? Because the opponents hadn't thought about what do we
yeah,
do against the webs player.
yeah.
And I think having 2 marked for deaths in your team is something you should think about if you're going to the VTC.
I will say people probably were sleeping on how good webs were back then.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so let's go into the Cabal list here. Let's see if there's any differences. I'm noticing one significant difference.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's bringing the Mind Space Thanos. Here's the missing Logan from the X-Men list.
Yeah.
And
Not
yeah,
so this is I don't feel you need Logan as a Cabal player. You have like
You don't
your
have
standard.
to be Cabal.
You can
You don't
play
have to play Red Skull.
Red Skull, Simo, Mystique
Sometimes you don't have to play him.
is your yeah. I mean, I get that Malekith Logan is really good for Malekith. He's a very good splash piece for Malekith. But like Red Skull, Simo, Mystique, and then you have Nebula Bullseye. You have 14 points there, and then Thanos as you wish. I think the only thing I would say is I would just chuck Logan over to X-Men here. That's my one takeaway. Um, I think everything else is a very good like standard Cabal thing. He's running most of the stuff that I've been running. He's added Malekith and Logan instead of Hulk and Toad that I had, which I think is fine. It's all he's not able to go as super wide as I am, but that's fine. I mean, this is a strong list. It's gonna do what you want it to do.
And I'd
He
rather have
also
Toad in the webs, so like
Yeah, exactly.
it's
In a
fine, right?
WTC setting, definitely you should be able to give up that toad if you need to. Marked for Death is here. He's brought. He has not brought the Black Bifrost, which I find interesting. It's hard to fit, and it would probably be Marked for Death that would need to go out for Black Bifrost. So I'm not
yeah,
sure. So that's like the one thing maybe, because I think Black Bifrost is a very good, very good card, if you're playing Malekith. But other than that, I don't have any complaints. I think it's a really good, it's a strong list. I feel like this is the stronger Cabal list of the two.
yes.
But that's my personal
Yeah,
take.
of course, yes, of course. You did really well with the list that had a lot of these characters in it, of course. So it makes a lot of sense, and I got crushed by it. So I'm also, I also
Yeah,
like think that this list is very strong, and yeah. So I'm interested to
Are
see if they
we
play each other or something.
are we happy with Montesi formula versus like the other
So
3?
Legacy
So
would be the other option.
yeah.
yeah,
I think
and
I would prefer Legacy here, right? But
So
yeah, that's my thinking.
this might be a uh, this might be a case of the options available, because the 19 options are way stronger when you have more twos, because then you can go a bit wider if you want to. Um, so maybe this is a focus on being able to play 18, and you're often able to just fish whoever has the Montesi in from their home place. But what I'm more concerned about is alien ship. I feel 17 is a rough threat value for this list, and you tend to go very high on power on a lot of your characters because you have quite high attrition, and you don't want to be like you don't want to put the damage from the alien ship blowing up. You do not want that anywhere near Thanos, because
oh, one sec. We just
like
oh, hold on. There we go.
that's my sort of that's maybe a problem. But I mean, I think this is still fine. It's still 3 point extracts, trying to slow the game down.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think there's nothing else crazy here. I think he's bringing Pyro for like the Webs matchup. I'm guessing. Anything else? I mean,
No, no, no,
what
no,
is
no, no.
what's
Here's the
okay?
thing.
Let's hear it.
All right, so Pyro with Red Skull has some insane combos with
Oh
Cosmic
yeah, let's.
Erasure.
I've heard these before, but let's
So
break it down for us.
so I have a there is a there's a play you can do where you activate Red Skull, you use Cosmic Obliteration to put a bunch of power out on like you're putting a bunch of incinerates out, and then you can scalpel Pyro within range of everyone, and then you use pyrotechnics out of activation. You take all of the extracts and you run away, which is like that. There is because it's an auto incinerate, you can't
Yes.
really stop it. You push everyone away, and then you can just move. And because Red Skull can steal power, it's just very hard to get back from.
Yes, because he can spend only one power to
Yeah,
port Pyro, taking three from another character, maybe like someone who like Mystique, who usually
Mystique.
gains
Yeah,
lots of power but doesn't spend it effectively.
exactly. So I
Yeah,
think
very
that's
powerful.
Pyro has some really strong synergies with Cabal. It's also like if you just beam and add the extra dice and then you explode the crit at the right time and you have Seymour rerolls, it's very powerful. He's a character that punches a lot above his threat value, I believe.
Yeah, that's what this list is all about typically too. So
Yeah,
the trade ups, I think you've mentioned that
yeah.
before. Okay, all right. So we're on to the last list here from Ben Right Mad. So let's see what we got here. This is the Midnight Suns, and so we've got Blade, Immortal Hulk. All right, so we have pretty standard. Craven is interesting. Hela is here for probably a safe grab option.
Hmm.
And you've got Electro and Dynamo to give out shocks to probably other attrition teams.
Yeah.
And all right, so Torbjorn, you played this affiliation at WTC. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts? What are your thoughts on the list?
Like like when you play Middle Suns and you play Immortal Hawk, then like he is the majority of your thing, right? So then it's just about finding the pieces that work for you. So like this doesn't have a second two threat, which I know is rough, but there are two threats that aren't being used, right? So having something like Rocket, for example, I haven't seen Rocket in any of the others, so that you can slot in Blade, Immortal Hulk, and Wong, and then do Rocket as well, so that you have your 15 option.
Okay, right. So
Because
he's now stuck
that
with
is,
Voodoo or Hela or
I mean,
Electro
yeah,
or
Hela is
and if
Dynamo.
fantastic.
you,
They're all Dynamo would be good too here.
Yeah.
sure, they're good, but if you don't have Wong, then you can't jump and bump up to the middle line. So then you have to spend your one below all on the first turn to be able to get to the midline, which is one of the like most important resources, right? Being able to just place your big threat character to whenever you want, however you want, is a lot of the like hit and run aspect of this list.
Yeah, I mean, but now you're thinking only 15, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's just either you double move and throw at the very first round if you were talking about something like Researcher,
Yeah,
or uh, walk, Gamma Leap, punch, and then sort of just praying to the dice goddess that you get enough power to throw, or that you activate the throw on the attack, whichever one you
yeah,
feel is correct. So I believe that it's not optimal, but I think it's probably fine.
yeah. And like I feel like there are too many characters here that are four threats that you could get rid of one of them for a rocket,
Let's see.
is
So
my
we have
thinking.
Blade,
Like,
Voodoo, Hela, Electro,
Yeah. Do
Dynamo.
you think Electro or Crimson is like an either or situation
Yeah,
here?
I agree
yeah,
here. I
like
think
I don't see when you run both of those, right? And I don't see the matchups where one is better. I don't
I
have enough games with Electro yet. He has been pretty disappointing in my games so far, so I
I
don't.
think basically what I agree. I think Electro is really cool. But I
Yeah,
think
it's
if you're I think Crimson has more of a he has more of a defined role, which is because like Electro will give you things like unprecedented mobility when you have a lot of power, but you already have quite a lot of mobility because you have built-in bump. And Ghost Rider has Hell on Wheels to get around as well. So I'm not sure. Like you don't, it doesn't feel like you need the extra mobility from Electro. I'm very much I'm just spitting through my own sort of like hot takes right now. So takes from this whatever you want. I haven't played Electro enough. I do know that his mobility is great. His trap situation is very cool. I'm not sure that's what sort of makes or breaks him in Suns. I think Dynamo and Hella both feel really good in Suns. Hella is just as a like a mobile piece that can go around using her whatever it's called, where she gets to do her short advance, and the bump combo is actually quite high on mobility. It just unlocks a lot of mobility. Craven having the bump is really cool with his uh, with
His
his
attack combo,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. So he can do the sort of bump kukri strike into spear and get a whole bunch of movement and stuff out of it. I like that. I think it's cool.
I think we should have. I think that
Oh.
we're missing Gwenum here. I think that
Yeah, I
Electro
think
should have been
That
Electro
Gwenum.
was
should have been
exactly what I was gonna waiting here
Electro
to
should have
say.
been Gwenum. That's my take as well. I think that's very much
Because
a that she looks so cool.
Yeah, so
in here, there's
she's gonna be
no
very good
problem
in
with.
Midnight Suns for sure. And yeah, there. So um, yeah, I think that Mike in the chat earlier in the chat, the captain of this team, said that ultimately the situation is that a lot of these players have lots of reps with these
Yeah.
affiliations, and that's why we're seeing the choices we have.
hmm
All right, so overall, I think that what do you think? Do we have any thoughts on the roster configuration or the
So
combo
as I
of
said,
teams here?
I noticed here. Let's see. So looking over the crisis list again. So uh, like the pork roll guys have well, they also have two lists that are running sort of attrition style that they can put up. Even if the Midnight Suns roster is more mid range, it's running demons. Um, but it's also running a more sort of, I would say, a more traditional webs list, which can be rough. Um, I do believe that the fact that the Montreal guys can put the pork roll guys on in sort of some rough choices in regards to being able to have to choose between two pay to flip teams or having to choose between two attrition teams is big. I do believe that there are some very strong lists here in the pork roll guys. Like the Wakanda list is extremely strong, and the I believe the Cabal list is strong as well. I would probably say that I think my hot take is very much that I think the Montreal guys have slightly better options for pairing, but I like the lists in Pork Roll more.
So I feel like we have 4 lists that are like the standard what I expect to see from both parties, right?
Yep.
And then we have one spicy pick that is Midnight Suns or Spider Foes.
I don't
And
think Spider
then
Foes are spicy these days. I think they're about to break into the meta. I could be wrong, but that's my feeling.
They now have like the siege and they have blind obsession back. I think
hmm
both those cards are I think that
it's not Siege. Come on. It is not Siege. You have to target one character. It is definitely not Siege.
okay, all right.
Come on. It's
It's better than Daughters of Thanos, I think. Okay.
true,
Oh,
but it's 1 or 2 attacks
now
mostly.
just because of that, I kind of want a Daughter of Thanos to play to decide this whole thing.
Yeah. That would be pretty
Okay,
wild.
so it
Okay.
So
says now
like
that Gabe's roster is now up to date, so
Yeah,
we
so
can
let's
just
check to
fix that.
see what.
Fix
So
that.
that was the Black Order. So he had Juggernaut in here. Now
hmm
he has put in Maw, a 5 threat Maw instead of Juggernaut. So
Okay.
there's now. Oh, look
okay.
at that
Yeah.
Black Order now. There we go.
Yeah.
Now he can play Black Order,
Did he
but he
bring in? He
still
brought in
doesn't have the
Shush. He
card.
brought in. He doesn't have Mothership.
Yeah.
He has Shush. So yeah. So
Yeah.
now, basically, now that we've established that Gabe is actually running single affiliation, we also can identify that there's no real dual affiliated rosters in this list. Torbjorn, and I think Color, did you both run dual affiliations in WTC? I think I.
No, I ran single affiliation dual leader.
Okay,
Yeah,
and so
like,
Torbjorn, we're
I'm
not
gonna
seeing
call
any.
that dual affiliation, like playing Magneto and playing. And something to think about, like you get to pick tables. You
Yeah.
talked about Magneto being strong, and he's extra strong at the VTC, right? Because there you get to pick tables for him.
I
So
would
he,
I would say he has a bit of an edge that he otherwise doesn't.
yeah. So like he has more strengths there, which
Yeah.
is why I think Brotherhood is stronger at the VTC than
Maybe the
perceived
normal
in
game.
single player tournaments. But yeah.
So I have a question. Are you gonna do the different tables as well when you do
Yes, actually. So
because that's really cool if you do.
yes, actually. So in a couple hours from now, I am going to be giving both teams the 15 tables, eat 5 tables per round, and I've specifically chosen TTS tables that
Yeah.
fluctuate between in points of terrain as wide as possible. So I've
Very
chosen
cool.
the bottom, basically like probably the bottom 4, definitely the bottom 4, and definitely the highest 4 tables in terms of terrain count. And then in
Yeah.
the middle will just be so then each round will have meaningful choices at each round. That'll be going out to the players this evening so they can incorporate that into their planning. So yeah, they're gonna
So
obviously yes.
you know why this is so good? Because right now Mike is kicking himself for not taking Magneto.
Yep.
Which is 100% what is happening.
Ah man, well I think
But
let's see
like,
how it goes. His doesn't his wife? I think his wife hid his Magneto from him, so he's
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is the teams. Are there any final thoughts on? Is there any favorite roster? Let's see. Let me just say like spiciest roster that you guys have. Your definite, whatever your definition
can
of
I?
spice is. What do you think?
So I think that I like that both web players have teched for the mirror in different ways. So
Mhm.
one with Marked for Death, one with bringing in Agent Venom, which is like good counters in both things. And they have really considered that, yes, webs are going up against webs a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
All right.
But
So
I also think that Mike and Nick should be better teammates.
Mike Dembois.
they're
See
no,
what he's
they're sure
saying.
you're saying that the Baron Zemo play was a mistake. The
Yeah,
biggest
I
mistake
don't.
of the lists, or like the biggest call
And
out.
like Mike getting both Rhino and Bill
That's a lot.
seems
Yeah.
like that's a lot of things to take from your fellow teammates who are your teammates. You should want them to succeed more than yourself.
Yes.
Especially if you think like now I'm like if you think you're a good player, right? Then you want to give as much things to your teammates as possible and then
Right.
make up the difference with your skill, right?
Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
Like
We can. I
only a
understand.
person that don't think they're a good player would
Oh,
take all the
interesting.
powerful
Yeah,
characters from their
interesting.
Torbjörn, do you
teammates.
ever
Like,
want to get invited to these things again?
nope. Like people are here to listen to me because you all know that I am gonna say things, and this is why I'm here.
Oh, bad. Okay. Well, it's gonna be really interesting to see. I hope most of these games are streamed because that would be really cool.
Yes, that is the plan. We're gonna have Chewy and Cole and myself, as well as I think Mike Whalen has just recently set up his stream. So we're gonna
Yeah.
have different options to basically lock in a stream for each of these games.
Very
And
cool.
so we're gonna bring on top of that the commentary people that are joining on commentary
Mhm.
are gonna usually be members of the community, either teammates in the event or just people that are from their communities overall. So it's gonna be really just like a whole showcase of what both communities can bring in both the level of skill and of course just like the overall gamemanship and yeah, and just the communities that just showcasing how great their communities are. So I'm hoping this event goes well. It looks look like we got some interesting matchups and battles to take place.
Cool. Well, good luck, everyone.
Okay.
So
Well,
something I didn't understand, so maybe you can. You talked about when you prepared this event that there would be no like rematch ups,
that is the
like you wouldn't face
intention.
the same.
That is
But
the
you
idea. But
can definitely game that if you are one of the teams.
right. So there's no hard
So
rule on that. There is no hard
no
rule.
hard rule on that.
Yeah. So people, if you want,
Feels like
if you want redemption against somebody who beat you, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. If you think you can take on the team that just that shut you down the first time, it'll just make the rivalries burn a little hotter. So, yeah, they're both teams are trying to win. There's and that's it. Yeah, there's no forced
I'm
pairing.
here for the Nick versus Gian Web Warriors mirror match. All 3
3
games.
times in a row.
Just go.
That's pretty good. So
Okay.
one last thing to say is that they're all most of these players are actually going to be at the Atlantic City Open, which is
Nice.
next, not this coming weekend, but the next after that. So it's going to really, and then after that is when the first round begins. So the ACO is going to be a little fiery and spicy, as they're already
Sure.
going to know their pairings for round 1 when they're at ACO, and it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out, and any interesting tidbits of drama that could potentially come from that event. So it's really cool timing for this whole event, and yeah, so
Very, very
that's
cool.
very cool.
Well, good luck to everyone.
Thank you guys for joining me on stream. This was a pleasure, and have a good night, guys.
Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
thank you. Bye bye. Hope you had fun, chat.
All right. All right, that's it for the stream, guys. This is pretty hype. Thank you, caller and Torbjorn, for joining me on this one. And yeah, good luck to both teams. We're gonna do the pairings live on Wednesday of next week, so stay tuned. More to come.